Pregame.tv breaking down San Francisco 49ers at the Carolina Panthers. Of course, a rematch of an earlier game at Candlestick where Carolina won 10-9. And currently San Francisco up from a pick'em opener to -2 total, down from 43 to 42. Brady Kannon, who's going to win this game?
My Niners. That's a comment from the heart there. Yeah, no, I was very excited to see them pull that one out at Green Bay last week, and I was on that side, -2.5. That was a winner.
Winner as long as you didn't wait until Saturday. Had to get there before Saturday.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I played it early, because obviously you know the huge advantage of 2.5 versus 3. And sure enough, it held true on last Sunday.
Even some 3.5s popping up right at post, which shocked me. I was on Green Bay +3, and I really saw it going to 3. I said, grab the 3 when I hit that. I never saw it going 3.
And I think VR at the last minute grabbed a 3.5.
Yes.
And that would have been a super, obviously it's easy to say now, but a great middle opportunity there.
Yeah, and VR is a super sharp bet. I even saw a +3.5 laying reduced VIG, at post. And it just hits a point where the books just get inundated with action. Yeah. And there's not much that they can do. Cantor actually dealt -3, -$1.40. They did not want to go off of the 3, so they wound up just like all the action they wrote just pushed on it. So
yeah, and that probably worked out okay for them, not going to the 3.5.
Well, they probably lost a few bets on San Fran and pushed everything else. So they didn't get killed, but when you got to give back and refund all the money, that's no good either.
No, they don't like that.
And they will talk about being an odds maker and a sportsbook manager. First time these teams played, kind of shocking. Carolina was able to get the win. A little bit fortunate. Graham Gano kicks a 52-yarder at the end of the game. Then Carolina fumbles. I don't know if you remember this. At the end, they run out the clock. They're like on their own 45. They fumble. They get the fumble back.
Right.
Which and then ultimately Kaepernick gets the ball back at his own 12. He just doesn't have enough time.
And another thing that's interesting about that game is Vernon Davis was injured in that game.
Concussion.
Right, when the 49ers had a lead. And now obviously Vernon Davis is back, and so is Michael Crabtree.
Right, and I think that could well make a big difference in San Francisco's production. Obviously, shocking they only get 10 at home. 9 at home.
Right.
And not get touchdowns. But now I would expect that San Francisco will get more. But the one thing I noticed when I go back through both these teams, I charted out how they did on their defensively. And they don't give up more than 20 points.
Oh, I know.
Ever.
They're both incredible.
Atlanta did get 24 against San Francisco, but that was, remember how the Chiefs kind of mailed it in the last 2 weeks of the season?
Yes.
San Francisco, although they won their games, they knew they weren't going to get home field. They're just looking to make the playoffs, get one win, and they knew they were going to be a number 5 seed. And so I'm going to give them a little bit of a break that they gave up some points to Atlanta. Because of that, but ultimately these two teams only give up more than 20 points. They only give up scoring when they play Drew Brees in New Orleans. And
Atlanta's a pretty darn good offense too. They were not a good team this year, but their offense had great numbers.
At the end of the year, they kind of went like they lost Julio Jones, and then their other wide receiver was hurt. Steven Jackson was hurt, and in the middle of the year they really plateaued, and then they were coming back. They're getting guys back.
Yes.
At the end of the year, and so they became a buy-on team. They almost beat Carolina at the end of the year. That 21-20 game.
Right.
But I'm trying to get my head into these two teams, and if I'm Ron Rivera and I got Cam Newton, I'm like, let's just do what we do, pound the rock, be careful, don't turn it over, and let our defense win the game.
Yeah, I think exactly. I mean, they really. Is it LaFell? LaFell's a pretty darn good receiver. Obviously, Steve Smith, but they don't have a tremendous passing game.
Steve Smith's only going to be 75%.
Right. Olsen's a great tight end, but I think the Niners have the advantage, certainly, in terms of the passing game. And I don't think their running game is outstanding, but you have the Newton element. And then, of course, the Niners have the Kaepernick element. I think the Niners offense may be a little better, and that's hard to say because the 49er offense has not been fantastic the entire year, but these defenses, boy, that's a coin flip. They're both very, very good.
Yeah, I'm going to make a case that their offense is way better. San Francisco's 5.4 yards per play.
Yeah.
Carolina's 5.1. And San Francisco's playing all those games without Crabtree, and he's worth about 0.3 yards per play. So.
Sure. And I think if you look at their third down conversions, the Panthers converted a much higher rate, and that goes back into what we're both saying with Cam Newton. That he is a large part of the reason they convert on third down, because he's able to scramble, get to the marker, and keep the offense on the field.
Right. And what I really like about this game is I feel strongly that if San Francisco starts with the ball, they know they will win if they just workmanlike, move the ball, don't make the big mistake.
Right.
And they know Carolina's not going to score more than 20 points on their defense. So they know as long as they don't hand them points, they should be okay. Thus, where I'm going with my prop bet in terms of what's going to happen in the first 6.5 minutes of this game.
Make it official.
Well, I wish I could say I knew who was going to get the ball in this game, but both coaches tend to defer, so I'm really not sure who's going to go ahead and start with the opening kickoff. I hope that Carolina gets it, because I know Carolina's going to just run the ball 2/3 of their plays early on and punt the ball back. I think if San Francisco gets the ball, they're going to have a long time-consuming drive as well. And 6.5 minutes, when you're running the ball more than passing, most NFL teams, you get to talk about the Atlanta Falcons that are just chuck the ball all over the place. But these teams, they stay on the ground much more. Tick, tick, tick. I really think no score in the first 6 minutes, 30 seconds is very similar to a Super Bowl type game where Carolina hasn't had a meaningful playoff game like this in forever. This is a big game for them. They're going to play tight. They're going to play close to the vest. Before we blink, we're going to be 6 minutes into this game. We're going to bet no score first 6 minutes. Take out the wild card of any craziness that might happen, defensive scores later on when these teams get behind. Let's go ahead and cash our ticket before we even have our first beer during this game. No score first 6:30. It is Fezzik's prop bet of the week.
Cool. Sounds good to me. I could completely see it happening. I mean, I think your analysis is right on. Whichever team gets the ball, they're going to want to just grind that clock, run the ball. They know that, very likely not a lot of points is going to decide this game, and touchdowns are going to be paramount. So they're going to work awful hard at getting it and keeping the other team's offense off the field.
People don't know this. As we're doing these videos, we're watching, the basketball scoreboard, and I have Memphis tonight just for my own purposes. I didn't give it out, but they were down like 16 against San Antonio with 3 minutes to play, and they're tied. So it's amazing the games you miss, when you go ahead and watch this, and the craziness that goes on. We talk about betting unders and the like. I have to say, you like a game under, bet the first half under, bet the first quarter under. Don't bet the game under, because the overtimes, just absolute. Look at the national title game. It could have gone over, at the very end.
Absolutely, and I think there was a chance towards the end where it could have gone to overtime too.
Always sweating the overtime, and always saying, here came those laterals. You never know what happens with the Northwestern Ohio State, too, where
people are talking about a couple of blocks here and there, and that guy was going to go.
Yes, he certainly. That was a brilliant play that was set up. We've been talking a lot about betting, and throughout the year, we're going to go ahead and do something different here. Brady and I are going to put on our odds makers hats. I don't think Brady has ever dealt as an odds maker. I actually have some limited experience doing that in a former life. We're going to talk about what we would do if we were running some of the local sports books and in town, and some of the things that aren't being done currently. Stay with us, pregame.tv.